we're going to get into this conversation, and I want you to know that I have, and I'm going to continue to say how selfish I've been, selfishly selected this panel, and you will see why soon. Stephen L. Hightower, President and CEO of Hightower Petroleum, Hightower EV, and Hightower EV Solutions. 44 years in the petroleum business, private sector only, primes, and has never been a sub. This will make sense in a minute. 40 years ago, Stephen Hightower made a decision that most people would have called impossible. He entered the petroleum industry, the transportation fuels business, as a black man in a space where, by his own words, he stands alone. He has been the first-tier supplier for his entire career. Not a second-tier supplier, a first-tier supplier. And not in government exclusively, in the private sector, where there are no set-asides, no diversity requirements, no programs to protect you. Just performance, persistence, and audacity to stay. Today, Hightower Petroleum holds fleet fuel contracts with 3 of the top 5 fleets in the United States: AT&T, Union Pacific, General Motors, Duke Energy, and Cintas. And most recently, the firm signed a teaming agreement with one of the nation's largest oil and gas companies. If he chooses to share, he will. This is not only about making it. This is a story about what it takes to stay in the game for 44 years. When you had to figure it out with no rules, you and the process were the players, and you had to build your business. He has literally written a book for all of us, Fueling from 0 to 1 billion. Because he believes, and I quote, "It ain't brain surgery, it's just effort." If you can find something somebody's gotta have, they're going to have it and buy it day in and day out. Please welcome Stephen Hightower. Our next panelist, Mike Ricketts, CEO of in the contract manufacturing and packaging space of Quality Packaging, QPSI. This is a whole effort. Quality Packaging Specialists International. And I know the name, but I wanted to take some time with it. Here's a number I want you to hold on to. 35 years. That's how long Mike Ricketts has been supplying some of the largest consumer brand companies on the planet, like Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson, Bristol-Myers Squibb. Contract manufacturing, contract packaging, products that sit in your medicine cabinets, your bathrooms, your kitchens. He built this company when there were no programs designed to put him in those rooms. He built it during recessions, during market cycles, during every wave of disruption that has hit American manufacturing for 3.5 decades. And then, this is the part I really want you to hear. He built it well enough today that his children are running it. And he has been free to move on to what's next. Well, that is the goal, isn't it? To build something that outlives you, to build something that your children can lead, to grow, and one day hand down to their children. Mike Ricketts is living that transition now in real time. But there is one thing he told me, and I really want to give this to you. It's an honesty moment, and you will find many of those in this conversation today, because this is a man who does not sugarcoat. The hardest thing is not building the business. He said his struggle now is that he moves faster than they can. And I have to move even slower now. Truth is, the time the organization is dedicating to developing leaders and creating that learning curve and the process for the learning curve is really what succession requires. So even though you get to the pinnacle, you may have to slow down to take the curve to transition. 35 years, one of the most disciplined financial operators in this space, and he is ready to share his insights and best practices with you. Please welcome Mike Ricketts. And last but not least, and you all are going to have an interaction with video in just a moment, Avis Yates Rivers. So you will cue her intro response video, which is the first one. Avis is the CEO and founder of Technology Concepts Group International, TCGI. She is our third panelist today, and she is in the supply chain technology space and has been for 18 years. She helps to manage and mitigate cyber risk. Many of you met her along the journey within the cohort. She is in the process of acquisition as a part of her exit strategy. And she's joining us virtually today, and I want to be clear that her presence on this stage is just as live and direct as both Stephen and Mike's. Avis Yates Rivers built TCGI Technology Concept Group International into one of the country's most respected supply chain technology firms. She does what very few companies do at scale. She helps the largest buying organizations in the world figure out what they're buying, how they're buying it, and whether they're paying the right price for it. And she does that with a cyber division dedicated to protecting small and mid-sized businesses in those supply chains as well, because she knows that is exactly where the chain breaks. Here is what you need to understand about Avis. She acquired a spinoff from Bank of America. That sentence alone should tell you the level of sophistication, the relationships, and the institutional credibility she was operating with when most people in their early stage of their business were still trying to figure out and get their first contract. She has also done something that takes extraordinary courage to say out loud in a room such as this, and that is she doesn't have an ESOP. She does not have a successor. Her exit strategy is acquisition, and she's also in it right now. That is a strategy, and today she's going to show you exactly what that looks like when you've built something worth acquiring. So please welcome Avis Yates Rivers.
So much, Tyra. Oh my God, you do me proud. I'm going to carry you around with me whenever I need to be introduced. What a pleasure it is to be here, and thank you for having me. You know, when I hear about the fact that I've been running TCGI for 18 years, I think that, no, it's been longer than that, but that's because I had predecessor companies. I launched my first firm 41 years ago. So, 41 years in the books. And yes, it is definitely time to start thinking and working towards my exit strategy, which of course is acquisition. I realized a while back that children were not in the picture. I have children, but they're doing their own thing. One's in the medical field, and one is a business owner himself. He doesn't fall far from the tree, and he's running a successful government supplier business. And so what was I going to do with mine once I stopped working like I used to work? And so I have been putting a lot of thought into that over the years and did some things very specific and intentional to help me to reach that goal. And so I'm looking forward to talking about that. And you know what? Being on video is not all bad, right? Especially when I'm coming to you from Monaco. So sorry.
And we're excited to have Avis with us by way of video. And so we're going to start this off. Stephen, I'm going to ask you a question about longevity. And definitely share anything you'd like to share after that intro you just had. But Stephen, you've spent 44 years in petroleum as a first-tier supplier in the private sector, not in protected markets or where second-tier access was made available. What did you understand early about positioning and performance that allowed you to stay in the rooms most people never get access to?
Well, thank you very much. And my story is a little different because I never had a job. I always worked for my father and my mother, who started a janitorial business. And when we were even 6 years old, I was going to the offices with them, cleaning chair legs and baseboards, because that's about all you can do when you're about 6 years old. And my mother said that she didn't have a babysitter, so she brought us along with her. So growing up in a household where the kitchen table was payroll on Saturdays, you just always, whether it's 1 o'clock in the morning, pipes bust, you got to go get that restaurant ready for the next day. I've always worked, okay? My father worked at Armco Steel. They came up from Mississippi, picking cotton and everything else you do from Mississippi when you're a young boy. and had that opportunity to see what was possible in just a janitorial business. And a lot of people try to look down at, what do you mean janitorial? That's a $32 billion industry, okay? People don't want to clean up behind themselves. It's just what it is, all these buildings that you see, okay? That's where I learned my business practices and principles, and that was my baseline. By the time I was 16, I was running a cruise, okay? By the time I was 18, I actually negotiated my first commercial contract. I, from then, started selling industrial materials. And I was selling to Ford Motor Company, and I was selling to the state of Ohio. The state of Ohio had a set-aside in 1979, House Bill 584, but it came in under Republican administration. And even though the Democrats was the majority and got it passed, there still was a Republican governor, and they did not actually execute on it until the Democrats got in play in 1981 and started setting aside all of these industrial materials. And I was selling everything from pinto beans, guardrail, paint, whatever they was buying. I was getting a Granger catalog or something and selling it to them. And then one day, brothers set aside, and there was brothers got in play, set aside fuel. And BP had the contract for over 32 years. And, they just folded their arms and ain't nobody going to take their contract, okay? And so they didn't quote us, but there's always a number two that wanted that contract too. And that's where I found the number two. So my first contract in the petroleum industry, I quoted the state of Ohio, and my first contract was the entire state of Ohio. I didn't know anything about fuel. I didn't go to school, didn't work for nobody in the fuel business. What we did do is invoice properly and pay your bill. And if that's all you're doing at that point in time, do it well, okay? Because that's your pathway and that's your opening. But what did I do beyond that? We start bringing these things into our organization, and being able to know that, okay, they're monitoring tanks. Well, we can monitor tanks, okay? They're dispatching trucks. We can dispatch those trucks, okay? You just learn one at a time, starting with just me and an accountant, all right, in 1981. And today, we're in every state in the United States. We're in every major city in the United States, and I'll tell you how that is, what that looks like. And we're in Nigeria, in South Africa, and an office in Rome, Italy, okay? We're global because I wanted more. I had that opportunity to put a board together. But I was paying these people like $20,000 each a quarter, all right? And they wanted me to stay small. You just keep doing what you're doing. You got a nice little business here. Don't think about going up here. You just stay small. So I fired my board, okay? Because I can't pay you to tell me to stay small if that ain't what's in my head. That ain't what I want to do. So, and you got to have a clause that you can fire them, okay? Or they can fire you. So you got to be real careful about that, okay? So, from my standpoint, when we got into the petroleum industry, there was a lady who said to me at a Sigma meeting that at the conclusion of the fall meeting, there was going to be a winter conference out in Vail, and they were going to go skiing and all of these kind of things I don't do. And she said, Steve, you need to be at every one of these meetings 4 times a year. Every time that door opens, you need to be there. And you know what? I did. And you know what that got me? That got me in the circle. And they began to know me. And I started doing things like skiing and hand gliding off mountains in Brazil and going to Cuba, okay, Soviet Georgia, all right. Wherever they went, I went. To the point that all of a sudden, when I said I need something out in California, sure, Steve, we'll sell you fuel. That's how I got into the industry, by doing those things that they do. All right, being comfortable with being uncomfortable, doing things that you would not normally do. And most of us don't want to do those kind of things, all right? But we find out, how do we get into those circles? How do we have the relationships that they have with each other? We ain't in their country clubs, okay? So how are you going to have that same relationship such that they can recognize you, like you, and then when you need them, they're there for you? But if they don't know you and they don't like you, they're not going to do business with you, all right? That's bottom line. And so that was the beginning of my journey into the petroleum industry. And look, 44 years later, I mean, like I said, we don't only sell wholesale downstream gasoline and diesel to commercial fleets like AT&T, like General Motors. Every car that comes off a GM plant gets 4 gallons worth of gas. In the United States, Mexico, and Canada, that's my 4 gallons in every one of those, okay?
Okay.
But that's Honda,
Okay.
that's
Okay.
Nissan, that's Volvo, that's Mack Truck. They all get 4 gallons worth of gas.
How many
coming
gallons?
off of there, okay?
4 gallons. Okay. So listen, Avis told me when we were recording her videos, good luck, because I don't know how you're going to handle these guys. Avis, you were right, okay? So, Mike, we're going to talk about succession, right? The reality of succession. So what moved me about your story, many things, but I'm going to just do what's on script, okay, is your honesty really about succession. And I felt that when you said the struggle now is, now that you are further out of the business, is that you're moving faster than they can, because now they're learning the business from this lens and driving the business, right? And so it's kind of causing you to have to move a little slower. And so my question is, most founders romanticize succession. Can you talk about the emotional discipline it takes to slow yourself down long enough to truly transfer leadership?
That's twofold. So some of it's what you guys are dealing with now. You talked about it the whole day. We want to grow. You want more money. You want to, I want to be bigger. I want more revenue. I had aspirations of years ago. Let me back up for a second to follow up on Steve's point. I've been watching Steve and Avis around the industries and the trade shows all my career.
Wow.
Yeah.
So getting out and being exposed, I don't see many of us that are still there. Back when, all the people that used to show up on BE magazine and Ebony back in the day, they're not around us anymore.
Yeah.
But there's only a couple of us that are still here. So I've seen that. So back to your question. Succession planning.
80-20.
Yeah, I had an ambition of being $1 billion company. Of course, that was the number. I want to be a $1 billion company. I was about $600-700 million and wasn't making no damn money. Okay? I started finding customers. Okay? Moved it back down to $150 million company and making a whole bunch of money. So do you want to be a $1 billion company? Or do you want to be a profitable company? Okay. So as you're building the scale and you start, you're talking about, I got to hire people. Well, you trust but verify. Because you're going to hire somebody, I keep an eye on them. I wrote my own check. I still signed my own checks up until we were about $40 million in revenue. And then I turned it over to my daughter. Right? So we're in control financially. So that's the key first. And my kids saw that growing up. Every single day, they went to bank meetings, they went to everything. So then you start talking about a plan for your future and what do you want? Well, obviously, I want the kids to run it, but I thought they would kill each other. Just being honest, I was actually, I've been doing succession planning for years. Had a real robust plan to turn over money, but it was the business that was the struggle. My kids got a drawn-out plan right now. Sell the yacht, keep the plane, do this. Am I lying? That's my daughter over there. Am I lying? They know a roadmap, know exactly what to do. Don't trust this one, don't do that. I'm being honest with you, right? The struggle was the business. I had multiple businesses, still do, but the main business was the packaging business. And I thought they would kill each other. I was in the process of selling the business when I met Kyra. I was selling it to a minority private equity firm. Young brother, financial guy, no offense to the finance people, but they don't know how to run businesses. They just know how to look at number on a piece of paper, right? They don't know how to treat people, don't know how to manage people, they don't know how to care about people. No offense to the finance industry, just is what it is. Long story short, my son met Kyra at an MSDC, and she was doing a function for my son, and I showed up at the function, and we were getting through it. Where was it?
We were in Florida.
Florida, yeah. Fort Lauderdale. I live down in Fort Lauderdale. Where's my man at? I live down there. Try to get them cheap taxes. But I'm a Gator. I went to school at the university before I played for the Gators. But no, Kyra and I started having a conversation, because I watched all these minority businesses through the years. Why are they all selling? How come they're not here? Everybody sold out and took the money and ran. And I don't have much debt with my business, which is also a little bit restrictive. Why we couldn't, it was hard to grow, hard to scale, because you don't take on much debt. I would get debt and cry it off. I mean, we're at 160, 70 million in revenue this year, and I have no debt. So I get to do what I want to do, when I want to do it. We're good at what we do. So we got a product in every household in America. Most of our customers are looking for us now. One thing you don't want to do is compromise your brand as you hire new people. Right? You own your brand. She's talking about SOPs. I'm an SOP fool. I know every one of them. I wrote them myself in the business. I still know every one of them in the business. We have a little over 1,000 employees. Every one of them are trained in SOPs and procedures, and they are based on our brand and the way I want you to run my business. You don't get in line with running that business, you will be out the damn door.
Yes. How about that?
Okay? So there's a standard that you have to set. And being minority, you got to overcome that one standard that is the myth that we don't know what we're doing.
Yes. Yes.
Okay? So, but Kyra came in, and I said, I'm not going to sell the business. I'm going to sell it. I don't know what to do to the kids. The kids talked to her. They didn't want me to sell. They didn't come to me. They were afraid to come in. They didn't want to sell. So she facilitated 2.5 years ago,
Almost 2.5, yeah.
a process of dealing with them and having a conversation that my kids couldn't have with me. See, because in the business, I'm a different person to them than I'm as a dad. Now, they struggled with that when they came into business, because I'd cuss them out, fire them. I'm holding them more accountable than I would anybody else. They got that standard. You remember that standard? They appreciate that today. They didn't understand it for years, but they appreciate it today. And so now that they've got the standard set, it's like, okay, they couldn't distinguish between how do I go against what dad wants. Right? They thought I just wanted to sell the business. No, I'm looking out for them and what I thought was best for them. Anyway, she facilitated conversations with my kids, and we were able to put a plan in place for a year to turn the business over. Everybody had a role. Everybody had responsibility. We have monthly meetings. We have board meetings, family board meetings, not regular board meetings. I am the board. Chairman. I am the board. My kids are the board. Everybody else is just there for window dressing. Okay, I'm just being honest. That's how we ran our business, okay? And I just transitioned last June and made my son president, and they've been doing a hell of a job.
1 year.
Thank you. 1 year. That's right.
That was our promise.
It'll be 1 year. Yeah, we started June the year before. We gave it 1 year, put all the works in, turned it over. They're doing a heck of a job. Now that I got free time, I'm out trying to acquire new businesses. So I like that. There's a whole bunch of things playing there with that property. There's real estate, lease backs, there's all kinds of stuff going on. I'm interested because we got a family office as well that we invest. Small businesses.
So the romantic side of succession is not so romantic as you all can see. It's the dirty side of the business, and I'm gonna do my best not to kind of be in my operational mode with them, because we have dirty side of the business conversations.
Yeah, that's the fun stuff.
It is the fun stuff, right? For people like us, we really get into it, but the process is real, and so I want you all to really lock in on that. And so I asked this question of Avis, and this is really about the acquisition lens, so you guys can hear. So what Stephen didn't mention is that you're in how many years succeeded by your son? Your succession plan in your business.
They're working already.
Oh yeah. So how many years have they been in their senior leadership roles?
I would say they've been working since, again, 16, 17. I mean, they were coming in their summers and all of that kind of stuff. Today, my chief operating officer is Stephen II. Quincy, who is the oldest, he is the president of Highmark Construction Group. Stephanie, my one daughter, is the chief not chief information officer, but she runs the offices. Okay, my nephew, he's a chief information officer, and I got a daughter who just came back on the fleet card side to be operational manager over there. So then I've got two granddaughters.
Come on.
That one is in accounting and one is in operations.
I just wanted y'all to see what infrastructure looked like. Clap it up. Y'all hear this? Go ahead. You want to talk about your roles?
Yeah. So my oldest son is the president. My oldest daughter is the chief administration officer, and she oversees really the president.
Oh, it's a fun time.
My daughter, Kinesia, is the chief technology officer, which in business today, that data is what controls everything, right? My youngest son is a plant manager. He's going up through operations. The grandkids are interning in the summers and on their way in. So one's going to college right now, so she's got her first full-year intern. She's going to Howard, too, by the way. Yeah. We felt HBCU was more appropriate. I was against HBCUs. But after what's going on, I think that's the right place for my grandchild. Right.
It's the legacy, right? Well, I wanted you all to hear and see the landscape. Okay, so I asked this question of Avis, and I said, Avis, you openly said something that many founders avoid saying publicly, which is really like the plan is not about having a successor or an ESOP where she turns the company over to the employees. She specifically has identified her exit strategy as acquisition. And the question I asked was, what level of operational maturity and institutional credibility does a business actually need before acquisition becomes a real strategy and not just a dream for founders to say out loud, right? I want to be acquired. And so Avis had this to say.
So if I disappeared for, let's say, 60 days, that sounds like a realistic vacation to me at this point. Would sales still close? Would deliveries still happen? Would clients stay calm? And would reporting functions still exist within the company? And those are the questions that all founders have to ask of themselves. What happens if I'm not there in the day-to-day? Because a business needs operational independence, right? As well as revenue reliability. It can't be just about the revenue. The revenue is not the business. The systems are the business. It also needs, of course, financial discipline. We all know that. But it also needs market reputation or institutional trust. So those are the factors that are involved when determining when a business is operationally ready for an acquisition. Repeatable growth, professionalized operations, clean financial reporting, and leadership
beyond you. Leadership beyond you. Go ahead, Stephen. You taking it?
Yeah. One of the things, I really have not looked at succession in the way that we're talking about it in that fashion. My organization is operating on their own without me on a daily basis. It's because of probably the last 5 years, I learned how to work on my business and not in my business. So, but what where I'm at now in my life, I don't want to get out of the penny business and get into the dollar business, because at my age, I don't have another 40 years to get my EBITDA, because that's the only thing that matters when it comes to exiting is your EBITDA. And wholesale gasoline and diesel is a penny business, average 3 cents a gallon. I don't care if you pay $5 for it. Your margins is, you got the same gasoline as everybody else, and nobody's going to pay that much more for gasoline just because.
Well, they are right now, Steve. They are right now.
No,
You're doing pretty
they're paying it because they have to.
You're doing pretty good right now.
No, they're paying it because they have to. But it's not a competitive thing. Okay, everybody, all of those gas stations still in the same price. Okay, it's a mafia. Okay, and it ain't that their costs go up necessarily, but when they say go up, they go up. They say come down tomorrow, they come down. Okay, all together. So it's not a matter of cost. It's a matter of that the mafia, basically, okay? OPEC. What I have now what I do on a daily basis is upstream, okay? It's called the dollar business, where a truck going down the road that you see with gasoline in it, that's about $30,000. A load of crude oil today is about $100 million, okay? 30,000, 100 million. Now, you got to be able to count to where you're going. And I done hit 590 million, okay? To get to $1 billion, once we start shipping that crude, and we've got 12 refineries now. I've been working for the last 3 years, putting myself in the upstream, and then all of this hectic stuff goes out, all crazy. That's opportunity. When things get crazy and wild and unstructured, that's your time that you need to be prepared to strike, okay? And so today, I've got contracts for crude oil out of Europe, out of Africa, all right? And Wells Fargo came up with my first $200 million credit line. Wells Fargo gonna give a brother? Okay, but you know what? I ain't gonna say this too loud, but my Italian guy in Rome was dealing with an Italian guy in New York, Wells Fargo, and they made that work, okay? I didn't go to no diversity. I just hit my low and let it happen, okay? Sometimes.
Can we talk about that for a
Yeah,
second?
let's get into it.
Can we talk about that for a second?
Okay.
I heard a lot of you today. I'm minority this. I didn't play that. They didn't know I was minority. We got to stop putting ourselves out there, because that puts us down at some people's minds. That keeps us here.
When you show up,
Right?
they're going to know
They're
you're
gonna
black.
know you. They're going to, yeah. Please stop leading with that.
That's not a value
You just
add.
happen to be the best you are, and you just happen to be black. Stop
right.
leading with, I'm minority, this and so on and so forth. Please, I just think that's a good strategy. Right?
It makes them mad. It pisses them off.
Yeah.
And the white male, you ain't going to get a thing if you go in there with I'm black. Okay? You ain't going to get
I've
a
had opportunities where I've sent my folks in the room, and I show up at closing, and they're shocked. Okay, because normally they would have never let me be there. Now it's too late. Okay, I wrote a note about that. I wanted to talk about that. It came up, but please stop leading with the minority piece. If you're good, you're good.
But
Period.
don't be ashamed to get certified, because
Right.
if you need it, you got
You
it.
got it. That's right.
Okay? Don't be ashamed to have
Yeah.
it.
And I'm going
Okay?
to double down on the emphasis. The reason why I met Ryan, which is now the president of QPSI, is because I'm certified, and I was at a conference with certified MBEs. The reason why I met Stephen is because I've been in the same environment, and I happened to see him this past October. And I've seen Stephen many times. I've never had a full-on conversation with him. The connection that I had was that he's also a Tucky, and we were at a Tucky event, and I went to the program at Tuck that last year. But I listened to see. You remember when I went to do that program? You're a Tucky. So I was listening to Stephen in a pre-event reception talk, and I just started videoing him because I have such an affinity for brilliance. and for people that understand how important it is for small businesses to understand the pathway. And I took the video, and then I didn't know I was going to see him later. I had a plan on just attacking you via LinkedIn, Stephen. You were mine solid. And I walked up to him at the Tucky event, and here he is. And I said, I have a video of you. I'm going to send that. That was my strategy for getting back to him, right? An asset of value. And because I wanted him to be in a room like this for you all. I did that last year for this moment. Wow. For this exact moment. And I know, yes. And I know I've been talking to Mike about this moment for a very long time. And so I want you all to understand nothing is on accident. Nothing is on accident. Okay, I'm not going to get too far on my soapbox because I'll be preaching in a second. All right, so let me just ask this question. I'm going to ask it of all three of you all. We'll start with Mike. Mike, so infrastructure before opportunity. All right? All three of you have built infrastructure before visibility. Today, many founders want the contract first and the systems later. What's dangerous about that mindset?
You could build it and they don't come. So you got to play a little bit of a game. Fake it till you make it. MSU. You know what MSU? I graduated from MSU. Make shit up university. So
write that down.
But no, there's a but. There's a but. You have to deliver excellence. Right? You got to have the relationship. So when you do get the contract, you got to pivot. Right? You have to deliver. Even if you're not making a profit, you still need to deliver. That's right. We are where we are because we're the best at what we do. Right. I just had a customer the other day, complaining about my high prices, but you're still doing business with me because I'm the best. That's right. Right? He just hates that I know it. Now, I don't tell them that, and I hope you're not recording all this.
Oh, absolutely we are. Let's edit that out. Okay.
I mean, we are really good at what we do. So I think that answers.
I think you, MSU.
Yes.
That was our takeaway. We got it.
Well, I heard you in there earlier.
Yeah.
Amazon, we deal with Amazon, right? And we don't deal directly with Amazon, but my customers do, and I do the packaging for them. So getting into Amazon, and any big company, it's not just Amazon, Walmart, any of them, man, it's amazing. Some suppliers come to us, minority suppliers come to us, they want to do business with them. No, you're not ready for it. And we block and tackle for them because those companies will suck you up and throw you out the window, trying to do business, selling them a product. Now, I'm not talking about doing business like you're a supplier to them. I'm talking about selling your products there because they got chargebacks and all kinds of gates that you got to go through. It costs you money to do business with them. So
it costs money to make money.
Yeah.
But I will say this, and Stephen, did you want to add something to that or on the visibility piece?
Well, you show up when you start a business like Hightower EV Solutions. Nobody was putting in EV charging stations, but you had to sell yourself that you could bring a solution to an Amazon, all right, before you even put a shovel in the ground. So part of that mentality is understanding how to manage a supply chain. That's how you scale. And we got to learn how to scale because Amazon's not going to deal with a one-off, a one or two person. So I had a team, and my team was made up of manufacturers that also manufactured the product, engineers that were already doing engineering, and contractors that already were electrical contractors, okay? So when I put in my capabilities wasn't Steve alone. It was my supply chain. And that's what we got to learn. How do we become bigger than what we are with the money that we got?
But you develop that by being out there every day and getting those relationships,
but the
right?
money that you got ain't long enough to be able to do that. So if I'm delivering in every state, in California and Utah and Texas and Tennessee, and only trucks that I got is in Ohio, I'm managing supply chain carriers throughout the country every day. Every 7 minutes, we're delivering some fuel someplace in some way. okay? And as I sit here right now, and this is what we say about having a business where people have to have it, because when I'm sitting here right now, I'm making money. If I was a consultant and I got sick and my stuff went down, my money stopped. So have something that somebody has to have, and they'll have it tomorrow, they'll buy the next day and the next day, versus something that somebody may want to have, all right? And then make sure the customer is big enough, because if the customer is big enough, you're going to get a supplier, all right? Supplier just wouldn't need to know that he can get paid. I went up to $235 million before I got my first bank loan. Okay, $235 million of revenue before I got my first commercial bank loan. How do you do that? You do that with an instrument that's in every commercial bank in the United States, and that's through Treasury, and they have something called a lockbox. And I talk about this in my book because we need to know, how did you grow and you couldn't get a bank loan? Come on. Because in a lockbox, the bank sits there as that mediator. Your customer actually is the one who sends the money to the bank, not to you, and the bank just transfers the money to your supplier. Supplier knows they're going to get paid. You're going to just get yours, all right? But the credit has been established based off of your ultimate buyer, okay, not the bank. And I had to do that with different people, different customers, until I got up to $235 million before a company came out of Columbus, Ohio, into the Dayton and Cincinnati market and gave me my first ABL account. So you have to learn what creativity things that you can do and stay in the game.
Yeah. Right. I know, Amy. I'm saying the same thing. It's loaded, and there's a system for it all. And I think what is important for you all to gather, especially as you're listening to Mike, to Avis, and to Stephen, is that the system is different. It requires your attention, and it does require your connectivity to ecosystems that can teach you other ways. They're all telling you the same thing. Ultimately, they're connected to other individuals. Mike, this is not on script, but I know you have, QPSI is one of the companies, right? I want to go here for just a minute, because I think there's something that I found to be, I think really special about your leadership style. And so when you think about the businesses that you've run, what would you say has been the key in terms of how you've led people to get you to this point of success? Let's talk about that leadership style, but I want you to kind of think through your legacy of businesses.
My purpose in life, kind of what you're doing and why I'm here even for Kyra, is to be able to make a difference in other people's lives. I envision at my funeral, I'm gonna have a big church full of people saying, that brother helped make a difference in my life, right? And my employees, we're successful in all my businesses because our employees believe in me and I believe in them. I make sure they win. I make sure they learn how to invest, how to budget, how to plan, how to buy a house. I'm not supposed to even talk about some of it. My daughter, who's over the HR, tells me, Dad, you can't say that anymore. It's taking care of people. In fact, the reason why I didn't sell, I give my employees loans all the time. Most of the time I give them a loan, I give them a raise so they can pay the loan back out of their check so it doesn't hurt them, right? I mean, how would you love to have a fallback plan at your boss, right? So, and I've never been burnt. Never been burnt. Well, let me say that once. I've been burnt one time by one person, and it was a minority, and it hurt me, but I don't stop doing it. Okay, but when I was doing due diligence for the sale, one of my employees had been with me 20-some years, wanted a loan, $10,000 loan. And I was like, sure, no problem. I knew him. I know what he needed it for. No problem. But I called up the private equity guy. I said, hey, I know y'all saw this on the books, but there's about $500,000 of loans out there. You guys going to take care of these people? We'll consider putting a budget together. Well, that meant no. They're not going to do it. The next morning, I called them and canceled the deal.
Wow.
People.
Yeah.
People's the difference.
What are all of your businesses?
Well, contract packaging is the number one. I own a marketing and branding company for Procter & Gamble. That's I sold about 5 years ago, a company called PEP. We started a new category. We were the only supplier inside of Procter & Gamble globally. Every promotion you see was managed by PEP. I sold that to the largest agency a few years ago. That was a nice little cash out. I do commercial real estate. We have, I call it unofficial family offices. I take small businesses. We got a brother down in Fort Lauderdale. We build houses. We do different things, and I just teach people how to win, man. They don't know. They get money. They don't know they don't know what to do with it, right? They don't know what to do with it. I'm just being honest with you, right? They don't know what to do with it. But they watch me. They don't. They go quick. Yeah, they don't. You know, you got to teach. Nobody taught us how to live, how to manage, how to navigate, how to do this. I do that with my employees. I go in every plant. I know almost every employee. I don't even go into plants that much anymore. I still know almost all the employees, or I'll spend the time in them to get to know them. Commercial real estate, what else we got? It's all kinds of investments, stuff like that. I had a logistics company, sold that one for a while.
There's a portfolio.
Yeah.
There's a portfolio. There's a portfolio. Great question, though. Great question. Layers.
But we did something a little bit different.
Yeah.
He went what I would consider, in football terms, you go wide or you can go deep. And going deep, we do fuel with fleet cards, credit cards, okay, MasterCard, fleet card. We do EV infrastructure because it's still a fuel. We do wholesale gasoline because it's fuel. We do renewables because it's fuel. That's that vertical that makes you deep in that area, okay? Versus when I was just selling food and guardrail posts and all of that, I kind of, at some point in time, said, this is the lane that I'm going to play in. And again, when you bring on things that's within your vertical, then you become deep and better well known and bring more value to your customer, okay? So think about that when you start talking about bringing other things along, okay? Because you want to be that expert that people can look at you and say, he knows what he's doing.
You know, Steve was talking about, make sure you make something they want. One of our top leading, I won't say the brands, but we do all the brands in this space, is tampons. Every multi-pack tampon sold in America comes to my factories.
Shut up.
Recession-proof. When the economy gets bad, my business goes up.
Somebody gotta have
it. Amy is having her own conversation right now, okay?
No, but that's very important. That's very important to have something that somebody has to have versus selling something that they want to have. Because they're going to get it every day and day after day.
And we built a model to where they can send us bulk product. The orders drop. They don't see them. They don't touch them. And I haven't missed an order in over 12 years. You know, they can't do that. They can't do that themselves and be 100% accurate.
That's
Right?
right.
They tried to take it from us because, we can do a better price. Man, they was back within 6 months. A couple of them.
You do cross-docking too?
Oh, yeah.
So you asked him to put you in, Coach, right? Okay, so when he's off this panel, I mean, you better be the first train smoker. Okay, so I'm gonna bring in. Hold on, Mike, you're gonna have a line outside. Okay, wait.
I got something for you.
So
Already got mine.
let me bring. In real life, I want to like dance right now. Okay. So let me bring Avis in for this last question, you guys, because clearly my team is telling me I have exceeded time and we got more to do, plus a graduation. Oh, my. Okay, so Avis answered, it was 7-something in the morning. Avis and I were like on a roll doing this video, so I know there's some good stuff. I was in New Mexico working for one of our oil and gas clients. Thank you. Yes, I was. All right, so I'm gonna go to this one. So this is gonna be for my team. This is gonna be question number 9 that Avis is gonna respond to. So I'm just prepping you so you can advance your slides. The question is, at what point did you stop thinking like operators trying to survive and start thinking like owners building enterprise value? This is about the identity shift, and I'm really doing this for you all in the room. When did Avis look at it and identify the fact that she needed to shift the way she was thinking about her business? And so we'll queue up that response.
Was that your last question to her?
That's the second to the last. And then the last question will be the hard truth, and I'll get it from these fine gentlemen here. The answer.
Like, at what year mark do you think you started really thinking about your exit strategy? You know, you start thinking about it when you're starting the business, but because I didn't have a script or access to capital markets or advisors at the time. Avis, a follow-up to that, when did you, like, at what year mark do you think you started really thinking about your exit strategy? You know, you first start thinking about it when you're starting the business, but because I didn't have a script or access to capital markets or advisors at the time, it was basically what I was able to take from my corporate position once I left there and invest in myself. And so if I was doing it today, it would be, as I'm founding it, that's part of the strategy. But I felt like I had to build something that was viable first. And so I didn't start thinking about it until I started acquiring companies myself. So Bank of America was the first entity that I acquired, and that was in 2008, which launched this company. And since then, I've acquired another firm, a technology firm, which created our mid-market technology practice. But before that, it was just servicing large corporations, and I know I needed to diversify. And so all of that access and experience within the M&A market, finding businesses to acquire, helped me to really understand what it's going to take for TCGI to be acquired.
That's good stuff. So I wanted you all to hear that and have perspective. Okay, so this is going to be a 30-second response. They're like, she thinks it is. And this is really the hard truth. If you could tell this room one truth about business ownership, scale, succession, or staying power, that most founders are still unprepared for, what would it be?
It's a long game. And if you're not prepared for the long run and all the ups and downs, it's not all what you got in your mind, but it's what you got in your heart. Okay? And you got to have heart to go through the resistance of wanting to be successful in a environment that don't want you to be successful to start with, jealous of you being successful, all right, in your own little sphere, all right? And how do you power through that when they're not thinking the way you're thinking, all right? If you're not serious about it, or you say, okay, I'm just gonna do this for a year and see how it works, don't waste nobody's time, because you ain't doing nothing in a year. That's a baby. Your business is a baby and needs a lot of nourishment and a lot of time and help. So until that baby becomes a teenager and a full adult, and those are in years, okay, don't even think about it, because it is a long game and there's gonna be some very hard nights. Some nights that you may have to wanna cry because you don't know what you're gonna do tomorrow or how that's gonna get paid, all right? But you can't stop, because when you stop, it's over.
That's good. I totally agree with you. The thing we tend to forget is we're so busy trying to make it. We forget how the people before us got us here.
Much less.
In that, with much less, but they gave us a lot more. And we got to be purposeful about helping other minorities. I won't land in any city unless there's a black company to pick me up. If there's not, then I'm going to drive my own car. I'll rent a car, right? And there's just, you got to demand helping somebody, and that drive over from wherever we are, whatever city it is. You see, you know, your staff is planning this now for me. I usually have a conversation with that person, and I get a chance to make a difference in their life. So you can't stop mentoring and helping somebody else. You're trying to make it so bad. You're so busy, so cramped up. Take a few minutes. You won't realize how refreshing that is for you. Okay, because there's somebody else who got it worse than you and needs your message. Don't forget that we carry that burden, and we owe it to pay it forward to somebody else. That's the thing we usually forget as we're running around this country trying to make a dollar.
Can I say one more thing? I never see failure as failure, but as a learning experience. That's right. I never see failure as failure, but as a way to practice my techniques and to perfect my performance. I never see failure as failure, but as a game that I must play to win. Because you're not judged by the number of times that you fail. You're judged by the number of times you succeed. And the number of times you succeed is in direct proportion to the number of times that you can fail and keep on trying.
But imagine if each of you got one minority supplier and helped them be successful. And all you asked from them was help somebody else. I don't want nothing from you.
This room. That's this room.
That's this room.
That's this room.
You have to bring it. You have a responsibility to help somebody else. Please do not forget that. There's one thing. And then just ask them, I don't want nothing from you. I'll be here for you always, just to help somebody else when you can.
You all, I just want to say this, and I'm going to hold as much as I can because this is a dream come true for me. You might think this is crazy, or why would you dream this? This is a dream for me because the importance of the journey. Can't believe it. Y'all got me. The importance of the journey is undeniable. We're here for a reason. I lost my job for a reason. And I get to do this work. And when in the world where coaching was the thing, and I was like, I'm never going to be a coach. I don't want to take people on. I want to be a part of their journey. I want to develop with them. I get to do that every single day, and people trust me with their infrastructure of their business, their dreams, things they don't even think I know, but discernment has revealed to me. And I'm going to say to you that I do this because I'm called to do it. And this is a dream for me because I wanted to be able to share wisdom with you all. This is our step to take. It's on us. They got us on their backs. But I have an award for them. I got something substantial for you young men here. And I really want you all to know that from the bottom of my heart, truly. And this certificate says, this one is specifically to Mike Ricketts, for exemplary leadership, lasting impact, and commitment to excellence that continues to elevate businesses and community. You are receiving the very first inaugural award. It is the SmartCEO of Impact from Mike Ricketts for Quality Packaging Specialist International. You are very welcome. You are very, it's heavy now.
I got it.
Okay, it's got some weight to it.
Wow.
And here's your certificate.
Oh, thank you.
You're so welcome.
You're going to need to cry now.
Absolutely.
Right here on me, 1, 2, 3. Nice, 1, 2, 3. Hold for the count.
Okay.
Thank you, my dear.
Okay, you're welcome. And Stephen, you're a part of this inaugural class as well, sir. You are receiving the 2026 SmartCEO of Impact, and your certificate respectfully reads the same. And it is for exemplary leadership, lasting impact, and a commitment to excellence that continues to elevate business and community. Stephen L. Hightower, thank you. And thank you. Oh no, I'm gonna say something about this book. So from
0 to a billion, and all the little nuggets that I left, I wrote this book because we got to leave it back for somebody that's coming behind us. I'm not going to be here. You're not going to be here. It's for us. Okay.
journey. For every smart CEO in the cohort, Your books are provided to you. There is a sticky note. You'll write your name. He'll sign it for you. Compliments of Smart CEO. For the Smart CEO in the cohort. And Avis will receive the very same. I will hand deliver hers to her in New York since she happens to be in, where's she at? Monaco. Thank you so much to our panel. This was absolutely wonderful. Mike, I don't want to call you Mike, Stephen, Avis Yates, thank you. You all give it up for them. We're coming back. We've got more work to do.